Jim Hurtubise, affectionately known as Herk or Hercules, was an American racing driver celebrated for his fearless style, mechanical ingenuity, and his lasting popularity with fans. Born in North Tonawanda, New York, near Buffalo, he grew up working in his family's auto garage. He began racing modified stock cars in 1951 and continued even while serving in the United States Coast Guard. Moving west in the mid-1950s, Hurtubise started to achieve success in the California Racing Association, driving roadsters and sprint cars. Along with his friend Pernelli Jones, they traveled to look for more success in the Midwest. They both quickly became standouts in the United States Auto Club USAC sprint cars, and because of their unique at the time Chevrolet-powered sprint cars, they became known as the Chevy Twins. Hurtubise, with his aggressive dirt track driving style, thrilled spectators and delivered numerous victories, including 18 USAC National Sprint Car wins. He made his mark in championship car racing in 1959 by winning the Sacramento 100 as a rookie, subbing for an injured Johnny Thompson. His Indianapolis debut in 1960 cemented his reputation. As a rookie, he shattered the 1 and 4 lap track records in qualifying with a 4-lap average of 149.056 miles an hour, nearly breaking the 150 mile an hour barrier. Starting 15th because he qualified on the second weekend, the purple and pink Travelon Trailer Special ran as high as 5th before finishing 18th, dropping out because of mechanical issues. However, Hurtubise earned Rookie of the Year honors. Hurtubise eventually competed in 10 Indianapolis 500s between 1960 and 1974, with a best finish of 13th in 1962, the only time he completed the whole 500 miles. In 1964, Hurtubise suffered a devastating crash at the historic Milwaukee Mile when, during a thrilling three-car battle with Roger Ward and A.J. Foyt, Hurtubise, who was following Ward and Foyt at the time in a thrilling three-car battle, the rear end of Ward's rear end locked up, causing him to slow abruptly. Foyt moved to the outside to avoid hitting Ward, and Hurtubise could not avoid hitting Foyt and went over the tail of his Roadster, went hard into the wall, causing the front fuel tank to explode. Hurtubise sustained third-degree burns over 40% of his body, along with broken ribs and punctured lung. Doctors doubted he would survive, let alone race again, yet his remarkable determination and toughness enabled a full comeback. He returned to competition in 1965, qualifying for the Indianapolis 500 in a Novide-powered car for Andy Granatelli. The pinnacle of his comeback, though, was taking the 1966 NASCAR Atlanta 500 for Norm Nelson in a Plymouth without power steering. Hurtubise became forever linked to the final chapter of the front-engine Roadster era. He and his brother Pete designed and built the Mallard, a distinctive front-engine Offenhauser-powered car. The car was originally constructed for the 1967 Indianapolis 500. The chassis was welded by Bill Henderson, the body was formed by Paul Cozard, and the engine prepared by Don Shepard. Hurtubise qualified at just over 162 miles an hour in 1967, but was ultimately bumped in one of the most historic fields ever entered for the 500. In 1968, despite ongoing engine troubles throughout the month of May, he qualified the Mallard for the 500 in 30th position at a speed of 162.191 miles an hour. Although he only completed 9 laps before a burned piston ended his day. This marked the last time a front-engine car ever qualified for the Indianapolis 500. On July 6, 1968, Hurtubise set a world closed course record at the Daytona International Speedway, lapping the Mallard at over 191 miles an hour. In September 1970, he qualified the car for the inaugural Ontario 500 at the Ontario Motor Speedway in California, starting 30th out of 42 qualifiers. Unfortunately, he only lasted a lap before hitting the wall in turn 3. After the original car was damaged, Hurtubise campaigned the Ed Rose chassis that was wrecked at practice at Indianapolis in 1967. This became the more familiar wedge-body Mallard that Herk would bring each May to Indianapolis. Even though it grew increasingly difficult to compete against modern rear-engine cars, the Mallard remained a beloved fan favorite. In 1972, Hurtubise qualified a rear-engine former A.J. Foyt Racing Coyote for the 500, but continued to practice the Mallard. On the final day of time trials, he rode the Mallard in the qualifying line. When the gun sounded to close the session, the car was still waiting in line. Opening the hood revealed not an engine, but 5 cases of iced-down Miller beer from his sponsor, beer distributor Dick Hammond, ready to be enjoyed. The stunt became one of the most famous acts of defiance against racing's growing commercialization. Hurtubise continued entering the Mallard at Indianapolis through 1981. Fans cheered wildly every time it rolled onto the track for practice laps. The car is now beautifully restored in its iconic 1968 livery and remains a popular exhibit often displayed at the Museum of American Speed in Lincoln, Nebraska. Sadly, Jim passed away from a heart attack on January 6, 1989, at an age of 56, the same number as his familiar racing number. He was fishing near his home near Port Arthur, Texas. Inducted into the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame in 1993 and the USAC Hall of Fame, Hurtubise is remembered for his resilience, showmanship, and unwavering passion, qualities that made him a perennial crowd favorite long after the Roadster era had ended. Special thanks to the American Museum of American Speed for their hospitality and preservation of racing history. Thank you for watching the Traction Reaction Podcast. Don't forget to please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.